Aragvadha. Botanical origin: Cassia fistula. Linn. Family: Leguminosae. Sanskrit synonyms: Savarnanga, Hemipuspi, Suvarnika, Svarnalpusana, Svarnavriksha, Durgaphala, Kundali, Nectamala, Kritamala, Rayavriksha, Sampaka, Samyaka, or Evata, Vyadhyata. Rayadhara. Regional names: Gujarati, Garmal, Garmala, Hindi, Amaltas, Gurmala, Kannad, Kaki, Assamese, Sanaru, Bengali, Sandali, Sonali, Amaltas, Bandaryadi, Kakar, Bandalat, Gero, Sonalu, Kol, Hari, Kumaon, Rajbraksh, Katola, Malayalam, Kanakaya, Marathi, Bahava, Balwa, Baya, Balwa. The Persian name Kiara Shanbara is derived from Kiara, a tree, and Chambora, which means a necklace. This is in allusion to the structure of the pods, which resembles a necklace. The Arabs call it Kathayul Hindi, which means Indian cucumber. The pods having resemblance in shape, size and color to fresh cucumber. Dada and Mukherjee. 1950. The Sanskrit name Rayataru means the king of tree, the trees being uncommonly beautiful when in flowers. Durgaphala as one of the synonyms to indicate that the fruits are long. Parts used: root, bark, leaves, fruit pulp, seeds. Properties and uses: Aragvadha is sweet, cold, heavy, germicidal, and acts as a good purgative. It cures fever, hematemesis, leukoderma, diabetes, eczema, and other skin diseases. The root acts as a purgative, tonic, and febrifuge. The pulp of the fruit is laxative. The paste of the roots taken with milk ceases arthritis and ringworm. The juice of the leaves is used for skin diseases. Flowers are sweet, bitter, and astringent. Fruit is cathartic, externally useful in gout and rheumatism. Santals use an infusion of the leaves as a laxative. Every part of the plant is used as a purgative by the Sinhalese Iyer and Kalamal. 1964. Watt. 1972. Stewart reported that the root is given as a tonic and used as febrifuge in Punjab. Aragvadha means that which destroys even the suspicion of diseases. The oldest record of its medicinal use can be traced as far back as 3,000 years, when Charaka and Sushruta used Aragvadha in the treatment of different types of kushas. In Charak Samhita, one complete chapter has been devoted to the mode of administration of Aragvadha. By the name Chaturangula Kalpa in Kalpasthanam, Aragvadyadhyaya in Sutrasthana. Sushruta has mentioned the use of Aragvadha in the forms of Kasaya, Arishta, Asava, Sura, and Avaleha in the chapter Mahakasta Chikitsa. Bhava Prakasha 1600 AD. Dhanwantari Nyanchu indicated its use in the treatment of the diseases of skin, fevers, and antipyretic action. In Brihat Nyanchu Ratnakara, it has been described that the leaves of Aragvadha reduces kapha and metas and are useful in fever. With Maladosha, the flowers and seeds are useful in alleviating pitta and kapha. The fruit pulp is madhura, snigdha, and increases appetite. The root made into a paste with milk is useful in the treatment of Vatarakta, Datru, and Madala. 16. Charaka described 12 different preparations of fruit pulp in the form of wines with Amalaki, as Sithakasaya with filtered curd, mixed with Balamula, as Alihya with Gouda, in the form of ghee with Amalaki, Dasamula, Hulatha, Yava, and Nagadanti. All these preparations can be used continuously by healthy individuals also and are recommended for the prevention of senility. Vagbhata mentions Aragvadha Sapapagamam in the chapter Kusta Chikitsa of Astangaradaya. Botanical description: Cassia fistula is a moderate to medium-sized deciduous tree, 6 to 9 meters tall, with a straight trunk and spreading branches. The stem bark is pale gray, smooth and slender when young and dark brown, and rough when old. Leaves, alternate, 20 to 40 centimeters, long, prepinnate, long-stalked, stipulate, petiolule 6 to 9 millimeters, long, vernicular. Leaflets, large 5 to 12 by 3.5 to 9 centimeters. The lower broadly ovate, oblong, and the upper oblong or oblong lanceolate, coriaceous, acute, acuminate, obtuse or emarginate, cuneate at base. The midrib densely pubescent beneath with numerous close slender main nerves that are prominent beneath. The leaves generally drop off during the cold season. Flowers, pedicelled, bracteate, showy, bright yellow, bisexual, fragrant. Borne diverging on axillary, long, simple pendulous racemes 30 to 50 cms, long. Pedicels slender. Brax minute catechus. Calyx 9 millimeters. Long, greenish, pubescent. -1 partite or divided to near the base. Sepals 5, shorter than the petals, ovate or oblong, obtuse. Imbricate, corolla 3.8 centimeters across, yellow, 5 free subsequent shortly clawed, obovate, veined ascendingly, imbricate petals, stamens 10, filaments free, yellowish, pistil mono, carpellary, ovary stalked, free at the base of the short hypanthium, ovules many. Fruit, pendulous, cylindric, nearly straight, dark brown or brownish black, smooth, shining, hard, indehiscent, seeds many, broadly ovate, smooth, light to dark or reddish brown. The tree flowers once a year in the month of April. When the whole tree is covered with drooping bunches of golden yellow flowers, as the fruit ripens, the seeds become separated from one another by the formation of about 50 to 100 thin, transverse, spurious disepiments, and the fruit which was originally one-celled becomes spuriously many-celled. It differs from a typical legume in being indehiscent as well as many-celled, and is described as a lomentaceous legume. Wallace, 1967. 17. Distribution. It is indigenous to India and naturalized in tropical Africa, South America and West Indies, found throughout India from the Punjab to Kanyakumari, in all deciduous forests and hilly tracts. It is sometimes cultivated for its beautiful yellow flowers. In the gardens and avenues, cultivation and collection. The plant is often cultivated as an ornamental plant in the gardens and on roadsides. The fruits are collected when ripe and then these are kept under the soil for 7 days and dried in the sun. The pulp is to be separated after this and stored in airtight containers. Cassia pods are imported to London from Dominica and Martinique in the West Indies and from Java. They are also cultivated in Egypt. Wallace, 1967. Macroscopical characters. Root. The root bark is reddish-brown and rough with numerous horizontal lenticels. The outermost tissue of the bark can be peeled off easily. The inner surface of a fresh bark is smooth and light pink in color. Stem. The trunk is almost straight with spreading branches and branchlets. When young, the outer surface of the stem is smooth and greenish to pale gray in color, but the older stems are dark brown to grayish-white in color with a rough surface. Leaves. Alternate. 20 to 40-45 cm. Long, peripinnate. The leaflets are 4 to 8 pairs. When fresh are coriaceous and on drying they become papery. Petioles 6 to 9 millimeters long. Leaflets large, 5 to 12 by 3.5 to 9 cms. The lower broadly ovate, oblong, coriaceous. Acute or occasionally acuminate or obtuse or emarginate, cuneate at the base. Midrib densely pubescent beneath. Young leaflets are tender, green, occasionally tinged with pink or of a rich copper color. Mature leaves bright green and glabrous above and paler and somewhat silvery beneath. Lakshmi and Kalamal, 1974. Fruits and seeds. The pods are 40 to 70 centimeters long and 20 to 27 millimeters in diameter. Straight or straightly curved, smooth, but finely striated transversely. The striations appearing as fine fissure under a lens. 18. Microscopical characters. Root. Transverse section of the root bark shows an outer layer of cork composed of 30 to 40 rows of slightly thick-walled tangentially elongated cells, most of which are filled with a brownish tannin. Phalogen is single-layered. The cortex is composed of 15 to 20 rows of thin-walled loosely arranged cells. Most of the cells contain spherical starch grains of 1.5 to 2 in diameter. Plate 3. Few scatter, add groups of stone cells which are surrounded by fibers containing calcium oxalate. Crystals are seen amidst this tissue. The phloem is separated from the outer cortex by an annular continuous ring of sclerids or stone cells enveloped on both the sides by crystal fibers containing rhomboidal calcium oxalate crystal. The sclerids are much varied in shape and size and are heavily thickened. They measure 3395 to 0738 by 2 to 354 in breadth. The phloem is composed of sieve elements. Phloem parenchyma. Phloem fibers traversed by phloem rays. The parenchyma cells contain small, simple and compound starch grains. The cells at the peripheral end of the phloem are intermingled with obliterated phloem cells and are more tangentially larger than the cells towards the interior. Phloem fibers are arranged irregularly or scattered in the phloem. Each group is surrounded by sheathing layers of crystal fibers containing rhomboidal calcium oxalate crystals. The fibers are very long, thick-walled with tapering ends and measure 708 to 1388 in length and 22 to 25 mu in breadth. Phloem rays are unibiseriate and the cells are filled with small simple starch grains. Cambium is 3 to 4 layered. The center of the root is occupied by the wood composed of the vessels, xylem fibers, wood's rays and xylem parenchyma. The wood is porous. light yellow in color and breaks with a fibrous, irregular woody fracture. The xylem fibers and the xylem parenchyma are arranged in alternating annular rings. The innermost rings narrow and the peripheral rings, more wide. Vessels are circular to oblong, thick-walled, devoid of tyluses and measure 3,337 for mu, radially and 3,7 for 6,3 mu tangentially. Most of the vessels are provided with small tails. Tracheids are rare and vary from 300 to 320 mu in length and 19 to 23 mu in breadth. Xylem fibers occur as annular rings alternating with xylem parenchyma rings. The fibers measure 500 5906 7096 mu in length and 12 to 15 mu in breadth. 19. Stem and stem bark. Transverse section of the bark shows an outermost layer of cork, which is composed of 18 to 24 rows of tangentially elongated, slightly thick-walled cells filled with brownish tannin content. Phelogen is present just inner to the cork and composed of a single row of thin-walled tangentially elongated cells. Pheloderm compactly arranged cells. Most of the cells contain rhomboidal calcium, is well developed and is formed of 8 to 10 rows of nearly rectangular thin-walled oxalate crystals of 13 mu in length and 7 to 9 mu in breadth. At the interior of this layer, large groups of stone cells are scattered within a narrow layer of parenchyma cells. In young bark, a wavy ring of stone cells and sclerids are present at this region. Phloem is nearly 1 to 2 cms wide and composed of sieve elements, pignon cells. Phloem fibers traversed by phloem rays. The non-functioning phloem occupies more than half the total width of the phloem from the periphery. The cells are slightly thick-walled and groups of stone cells surrounded by 2 to 3 rows of fibers, which contain crystals. The stone cells vary much in shape and size with small lumen. The phloem parenchyma cells contain simple starch grains 2 to 3 mu in diameter. The major portion of the stem is occupied by the wood, which is composed of vessels, xylem fibers, xylem parenchyma fibers and xylem parenchyma traversed by wood rays. The wood is porous, yellowish-white in color and breaks with a tough, rough fracture. Vessels are large, circular to oblong, walls thick, pitted with simple perforations and measure 100 to 100 to 50 mu in length and 3078130 mu in breadth. Tracheids are 100 150 to 100 in length and 13 to 20 in breadth. Fibers are highly thick-walled. Measure 45056068096 mu in length and December 15, 17 mu in breadth. Xylem parenchyma are abundant and are filled with simple and compound starch grains. The wood rays are many in number. Homogeneous and mostly unitobiseriate pith cells are filled with simple starch grains and also contain rhomboidal calcium oxalate crystals. Leaf. The leaves are dorsiventral in transaction with 2-3 rows of palisade cells below the epidermis. Transaction through midrib shows an upper and lower epidermis. Collenchyma and a ring of pericyclic fibers enclosing a peculiarly arranged vascular bundle and a small central pith, which is irregularly shaped. 2. The upper epidermis is formed of a single row of slightly tangentially elongated cells measuring 15 to 30 mu in length and 15 to 19 mu in breadth with a thick layer of cuticle 3 mu in thickness. Choudhury and Kale 1969 reported the presence of unicellular non-lignified pointed trichomes on the upper epidermis. The lower epidermis is also formed of a single row of comparatively smaller cells measuring 579 mu in length and 7 to 9 mu in breadth. Collenchyma cells contain rhomboidal crystals of calcium oxalate. A wide layer formed of 6 to 9 rows of collenchymatous cells are present inner to the lower epidermis. A layer of 3 to 4 rows of small circular to oval thin-walled parenchyma cells with small epidermis. Intercellular spaces is seen inner to the collenchymatous layer of the upper epidermis. These cells are filled with chloroplasts and contain starch grains. A sclerenchymatous layer is present in the form of an almost complete ring broken at the regions where lamina originate. Several small vascular bundles are arranged in the form of an incomplete circle with the phloem towards the periphery. 2 or 3 additional bundles are present at the upper end of the ring within the circle. Where it is broken, the phloem groups of these bundles are faced to join together to form most often a V-shaped phloem patch. In each xylem group 3 or 4 to 6 vessels arranged in a linear line. Each xylem group is separated from the adjoining one by rays which are unitobiseriate. The central part of the midrib inner to the xylem arch is formed of thick-walled polygonal 2 circular cells. These cells contain starch grains and rhomboidal calcium oxalate crystals. A few rounded cells at the very center are found to be sclerenchymatous. Lamina. Transverse section through the lamina shows epidermal layers on both the sides. Middle mesophyll tissue, differentiated into an upper palisade and a lower spongy layer. The upper epidermis is composed of a single row of slightly tangentially elongated thin-walled cells 3 to 4 mu in length and devoid of stomata. Plate 7. A thick layer of cuticle is present. A few simple, highly thick-walled unicellular trichomes of 70 to 76 mu in length and 8 in breadth at the base with tapering ends are present, which are seen adpressed to the epidermal surface. Plate X Fig. 4. The lower epidermis is without a definite cuticular layer and the cells are thin-walled with the outer walls convex with numerous stomata, which are of rubiaceous type. Palisade tissue is composed of a single row of vertically elongated, compactly arranged thin-walled cells abundant with chloroplasts and measure 60 to 66 mu in length and 8 to 9 mu in breadth. Spongy tissue is formed of 4 to 5 rows of thin-walled cells arranged very loosely with large intercellular spaces. The cells are abundant with chloroplasts. Each vascular tree is composed of small groups of xylem, with a small group phloem and with a small group of fiber at both ends. The whole bundle is enclosed by a parenchymatous bundle sheath, the cells of which contain rhomboidal calcium oxalate crystals. 2-1. Drug substituted in the name of this drug. Pods of Cassia grandis Linn. Horse cassia are sometimes used as a substitute. The pods are longer, thicker and heavier than those of C. fistula, about 50 to 80 centimeters long and 4 centimeters in diameter. Laterally compressed. Surface rough, 1 prominent ridge on the dorsal and 2 on the ventral suture. Odor of pulp disagreeable. Taste bitter and astringent. Wallace. 1967. Chemistry. Cassia fistula is rich in tannin. Sarin et al. 1963. Basu and Mitra. 1957. Burton and Barra. 1955. Anthraquinones. Rhine 1. Amodin 2. Chemferol 3. Proanthocyanidines. Padmanabharao and Venkatswarlu. 1964. Steroids. Gums galactomanins. Morimoto and Rao. 1962. Waxes. Volatile oil and the alkaloid Chaxinle. 1958. Wiesner et al. 1958. Annan. 1962. Venkatswarlu et al. Reported the isolation of a monomeric leucanthocyanine, DIN, fisticocidin from the acetone extract of the stem bark. Narayanan and Seshadri 1970 to isolated a trimeric pelargonidin from the bark. The proanthocyanidin was isolated as a colorless powder. The bark and heartwood contains fisticocidin, an optically inactive leucanthocyanidin, 3,4.7,8. 4. Pentahydroxylin along with Barbaloin and Rhine Murthy et al. 1967. San and Shukla 1968 reported the presence of tannin in the N-butanol extract of stem bark. The benzene extract yielded lupiol, bisitosterol and hexacosanol. The acetone extract of the bark yielded a leucopelargonid trimer with no free glycol unit. The methanol extract contained besides higher polymers of pro-pelargonidin. A small amount of Rhine is glycoid. Narayanan and Seshadri 1972. The root bark contains tannin, phlobophene and anthraquinone derivatives. The acetone extract gave the characteristic color reactions of proanthocyanin on heating with alcoholic acid. Paper chromatography showed the presence of 5 flavonoid compounds with very close RF values. Ramaya and Abraham 1977 isolated and identified 1 proanthocyanin as fisticocidin. The aqueous extract of the leaves of Cassia fistula was fractionated by precipitation with an acid. 2 glycosides, identified as senicide and senicide B, were isolated. Seasonal variation was found to occur in the glycosidal content of the leaf Kaji and Koreana 1964. Leaves have been found to contain free Rhine glycoside, senicide and senicide B. Kaji et al. 1968. Cassia genus are generally rich in tannins. The fruit pulp contains the anthraquinone Rhine 1 in the free state as well as in the form of glycoside. Capadia and Koreana 1962. 2.